Hi everyone, welcome to Alex's Adventures in English. In this live stream, I'm gonna deal with one very common idiom in English, off the top of someone's head. When do we use it? We're going to analyze native speakers' use of this idiom. To do that, we're going to analyze some real examples taken from YouGlish. Have you ever heard of YouGlish? It's a great platform that allows you to analyze native speakers' use of words. And you can either analyze British English examples or American examples, YouGlish, and Luke's English podcasts. Have you ever heard of it? I hope you have, because Luke's English Podcasts is the podcast to listen to and to watch, because you can find it also on YouTube, which is where I usually watch it. Okay, for this live stream, I've set up a script that you'll be able to read with me. All right, when to use off the top of someone's head. It's a handy phrase we use when we don't have exact information at the moment, but still want to keep the conversation going. So you don't really know what to say. You've been asked a question and you don't really know exactly what to say. So it's a question that jogs your memory. That's a great expression. Anyway, that's another idiom, to jog someone's memory. You'll often hear it paired with phrases like, I can't remember, or I don't know. Expressions referring to poor memory. So these kind of expressions are usually followed by but, also called conjunction. Okay? This structure lets us admit we don't have the details right now, and then it allows us to offer an approximate answer or indicate we'll check and get back, with the correct information. So now let's break it down. Let's break down this idiom with examples. These examples are taken from real conversations. Okay, remember I told you at the beginning we were going to analyze this idiom in real examples. So, example number 1. Example number 1 is, I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but so many of us go through mental health problems, some more long-term than others. Okay, so you will say, I don't know the statistics off the top of my head. There's usually the rhythm, the intonation. I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but, and then, all right, you give an approximate answer. So, in this example, the speaker admits they don't have the exact numbers, right? The exact numbers, but continues by sharing a general observation about mental health issues. Okay? So, in other words, you can cooperate with others when asked a question. If they ask you a question you don't know the answer to. Example number 2. I can't remember the exact recipe off the top of my head, but I'll leave it in the description box down below. In this case, the speaker acknowledges they can't recall the specifics right now, but offers a solution by pointing the audience to where they can find the information. Okay? So I'm not giving you the answer, but I'm helping you anyway to get the answer. You can get the answer without me. Alright? So that's very important because we can collaborate with others even though we don't have the exact answer to their question. All right. So that was example number 2. Now, let's move on to real life usage. This is more examples, okay? Example number 1. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but I feel really lucky to have worked with some great filmmakers. Again, the expression at the beginning, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but, and then comes the answer. You know, which is not precise. It is approximate. Example number 2. I don't remember the exact price off the top of my head, but I know it was quite affordable. Again, I don't remember the exact price off the top. Again, I don't remember the exact price off the top of my head. There we go. I don't remember the exact price off the top of my head. If you're watching this, of course not now, because there's nobody watching. If you watch this later on, repeat after me. I don't remember the exact price off the top of my head, but I know it was quite affordable. You know? I don't remember the exact price off the top of my head, but I know it was quite affordable. Okay? And example number 3. Repeat after me. I can't recall the name off the top of my head. I can't recall the name off the top of my head. I can't recall the name off the top of my head. I can't recall the name off the top of my head. But I know it's famous. But I know it's a famous Shakespearean tragedy. Alright? So this person is being asked about Shakespeare's work. Alright? So this person is being asked the exact name of this play, but he or she can't remember it. So he or she says, I can't recall the name off the top of my head. You know, I can't recall the name off the top of my head, but I know it's famous, right? But I know it's a famous Shakespearean tragedy. So this person is helping the other get the answer. It's not saying, okay, I'm not giving you the answer now, but it's actually helping the other person get the answer. All right? Guys, if any of the points I've mentioned during this stream are not clear to you, you can leave your comments down below. All right? Okay, let's move on. In each of these examples, the speaker uses the phrase to provide an approximate answer or to promise they'll check and confirm the details later. In order to keep the chat active and engaging. All right? So that's what you want, to keep the chat active and engaging, to keep the conversation active and engaging. All right. Now, let's do the following, guys. Let's engage with a phrase. All right, let's do it. And I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna make some changes. All right. Maybe I should have done this earlier. Okay. Okay, sorry. Okay. Okay. So, let's engage with a phrase. Now comes the juiciest parts. So, before we delve into some statistics about this phrase's usage, let's reflect on your own experiences. Have you ever been in a situation where someone asked you a question and you didn't have the exact answer immediately? What phrases or strategies did you use to handle such moments? All right, so feel free to share your thoughts in the chat. Okay? Now, let's deal with statistics. So, how common is this phrase? On YouGlish, focusing on British English, there are 130 examples of off the top of my head. Okay? Off the top of my head alone. So, let me show that to you. All right, you can see that off the top of my head being used on YouGlish on its own. So this is when it's on its own, when it's used on its own. So we could listen to some of these examples, okay?
No, that's not off the top of my head, that's just too obvious. It's not sort of arbitrary enough. I'm not going to say 10, well, I'm not going to say 5. Well, you've just done, that's just too obvious.
Let's
Well,
listen to it again.
I wasn't going to say 1, because, you know, that's not off the top of my head, that's just too obvious. It's not sort of arbitrary enough. I'm not going to say 10.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but it is months.
Okay, look at that one.
For a significant amount of time.
Great.
I can't put a number of months on that, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it is months. Yeah, we keep them for a significant amount of time. I can't put a number of months on that, I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it is months.
But it is months.
Right.
Amount of time. I can't put a number of months on that, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it is months.
Right?
We keep them for a significant amount of time. I can't put a number of months on that, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it is months.
Yeah. That's a great example, isn't it? So the guy can't remember exactly. So he gives an approximate answer instead. Which means he's still cooperating with the other person asking the question. Okay. Let's have a look at another example.
Esperantos is just kind of off the top of my head.
Off the top of my head, I don't know what the figures are in terms of Bristol's employment, but in terms of the businesses that we see, and in terms of, you know, when we've done statistics which do compare and contrast, you know, we've got an incredibly healthy.
Okay.
You know, when we've done
again,
off the top of my head, I don't know what the.
We see that the phrase, the idiom, is being used at the beginning this time, and then it's followed by an expression indicating poor memory, you know, indicating a bad memory, that this person's got a bad memory, at least in this respect, okay? So off the top of my head, I don't know what the figures are. All right. So that's that, guys. Going back to statistics. So we can see here that off the top of my head alone is used, appears in the British English collection, or corpus, we can say, which refers to a huge collection of texts stored, usually digitally. So on British English, actually in British English, on YouGlish, there are 130 examples of off the top of my head alone, and 22 instances where it's followed by but. So let's have a look at that. All right, there we go. So we've got 22 hits or instances of off the top of my head followed by but. Which means that a lot of these examples, including the phrase off the top of my head, you know, the 130 examples in the British corpus, in the YouGlish British corpus, most of them include, or a big part of them include, the connector but, after the idiom off the top of my head. Would you like to hear the first example? We can do that, of course. Well, this is...
But they are large as well.
And are these disseminated?
Haven't we?
Dash. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but that was working with her, and that was a, really complex.
This one,
but
I mean,
things which are just off the top of my head, but I have planned out like a legit video about this that'll be on the... Those are two things which are just off the top of my head, but I have planned out like a legit video about this that'll be on the channel in the next few weeks.
okay.
Looking at. So I don't know, Karen, you've got the detail. I haven't got the detail to the top of my head, but I can certainly come back and let you have that. What we do know.
Okay, this is a great example, guys, isn't it? All right. So what we're going to do with this is to copy it and paste it, sorry, to copy it and paste it. There we go. Yeah, let's do that, guys. All right, so we've got, there we go. Sorry, let me, okay. Okay. Can you see it? On the Google Docs. So, if you can see it there, that's great. Let me try and change its format. Okay, that's better, isn't it? I do not have the details off the top of my head, but I can certainly come back and let you have that. Oh, yeah. That's an important part, isn't it? Okay, there we go. Let's listen to it again, guys.
Know though is that looking at. So I don't know, Karen, you've got the detail. I haven't got the detail to the top of my head, but I can certainly come back and let you have that. What we do.
Okay.
Looking at. So I don't know, Karen, you've got the detail. I haven't got the detail to the top of my head, but I can certainly come back and let you have that. What we do know.
Okay, so let's apply the theory a bit, right? What is she doing now? After. So, in this example, is there an expression indicating that this woman has a poor memory? Sorry, guys. Let me try and do something here. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So, all right, let's go back to the example, guys. Yeah, my question. Can you spot in this example sentence an expression indicating that this woman has got a poor memory? Can you spot that? If you can, let me know. All right? Okay. All right. Can you hear me clearer now? I think so. Okay. So, all right. And let me ask you another question. Can you spot the word but in the example? It's a bit, a bit on the nose, isn't it? Meaning when something it's a bit on the nose means it's too obvious. So that's a great example anyway. Yeah, it's a bit on the nose. Yeah. Okay, let me try and do something, guys.
The mix. I mean, those were
Okay. I was looking up the expression a bit on the nose on YouGlish, and there's only one example in the British English corpus, but there are 8 examples in the American corpus. Okay.
One which thereafter.
All right. It's not that frequent, apparently. I mean, at least on YouGlish, on the videos included on YouGlish. But anyway, okay, let's go back to the example. I do not have the details off the top of my head, but I can certainly come back and let you have that. What is she doing at the end? Is she giving an approximate answer? Or is she promising to get the information later on? Yep, she's offering to, get the information later on and give it to them. Okay, so this is something speakers actually do. I usually see this expression off the top of my head or off the top of someone's head being taught as just something used to, to actually to say something unplanned or to answer a question without checking facts, without checking the information. But actually, it's used for a great strategy. The strategy of, well, actually, we've been discussing this for a while. you're actually trying to say, okay, I mean, without checking the information, I can't give you an exact answer. So, because of that, I can give you an approximate answer. Or I can, as this woman said, as this woman said, or as this woman says, I can certainly come back and let you have that. Okay? I can get the information later on and give it to you. So, in other words, we are cooperating with the other person or with others, with the ones asking the question. In one way or another, we are cooperating, which is great, isn't it? So, in other words, this expression, this idiom, helps us deal with a common awkward situation in conversations. If you're asked a question that you don't know the answer to, right? You don't know the answer to that question, so you actually say, I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I can give you an approximate answer. Or I can, go and get the information or check the information later on. Not right now, of course. So I can get the information later on. Which is great, isn't it? This is much better, than I don't know, or just saying I can't remember. If you're asked a question, you say I can't remember, or don't know. I mean, it's a bit rude, or it might be a bit rude, or so off the top of someone's head, in this case off the top of my head, is quite useful. It is, isn't it? Okay. Now, let's have a look at some examples taken from Luke's English podcast, which is, by the way, my favorite podcast to learn English. I mean, I'm an English teacher, but I'm an English learner as well. And whenever I need to learn something new, this is the place to go. Luke's English podcasts. So, let's have a look at it, shall we? All right. So this is from episode 861. And in episode 861, Luke said, Would you like to hear it? Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, let's do it. Okay.
Yeah, and actually,
So what they were,
yeah,
they were like what, sort of stuck to the outside of the train, hold.
Just okay.
I have to keep working. 60, 62, 64. Amazingly enough, I don't actually know off the top of my head what the pension age is, but maybe that's.
So, Luke, in this episode, was asked what the pension age was in France. And he can't remember. So he says, amazingly, I don't know off the top of my head what the pension age is. But, maybe that's... And he gives an explanation here.
It's because I'm in my 40s.
Right? So, but, maybe that's because I'm in my 40s. Okay? So this is great, isn't it? This is great. So, in other words, he's not actually, well, in a way, he's answering the question. But at the same time, no. Because he gives, actually, he says that he can't remember it. He can't remember that fact off the top of his head, which means without checking the information, without checking the information first. But he's excusing himself. He's giving an excuse, isn't he? Let me check something, guys. Just bear with me. So in this example, Luke acknowledges that he doesn't immediately recall the exact pension age, and attributes that, and he attributes this to his current age, being in the 40s. And so this serves as a light-hearted way to explain his lack of immediate knowledge on the subject, and which suggests that because he's not yet at the typical pension age, it's not information he keeps readily available. So he's making an excuse, isn't he? So he's saying, in a way, I don't really need to know this at the moment. Maybe when I'm in my 40s. Sorry, he's in his 40s at the moment. When he's older, actually. he'll really need that information. But anyway, he's cooperating with I can't remember this guy's this podcaster's name off the top of my head. I can't remember his name, but I think it's Stephen. I'm sorry for that. I think it's Stephen. Anyway, moving on to the next example from Luke's English podcast. This is from episode 800. And let's have a look at it. So this is episode 800, part 2. And in this episode, okay. Let me find the specific moment he uses that expression. Let me. Okay. Here we go.
Good question. And last question. I know you travelled to lots of countries. Haven't you thought of starting to run a travelling blog? But I've received lots of other great gifts as well from, my wife and my family and stuff like that. Like, for example, that ukulele bass guitar on the wall, the little one, that guy up there, that was from my cousin. A lot of other things. I probably received some of the things in this room as a gift. That book was from my cousin Oliver as well. And that picture is a gift from my cousin Oliver. There's various gifts and different things in here that I was very happy with. So I'm very lucky. I've had lots of nice gifts. Mac Rakimova said, Mac Rakimova. Rakimova! What does that even... I don't know. Mac Rakimova. Do you have any movie lists to recommend? Good question. And last question. I know you travelled to lots of countries. Haven't you thought of starting to run a travelling blog? Have you ever thought of starting a travelling blog, I would say? Movie lists, oh my God. Actually, you know what? I don't have a movie list. I don't have one. Some people do. They use different websites for, working out your favorite movies, your favorite 100 movies or something like that. And you have to sort of choose between they pair up different films, and based on the choices, they work out what your favorite films are. But it takes you hours to do it. I haven't done that, so I don't know. But off the top of my head, my favorite films are Taxi Driver, With Nail and I, Star Wars, just episode 4, 5, and 6. Maybe some of the new stuff, but no, just episodes 4, 5, and 6. Indiana Jones, the first one. Loads of others. Goodfellas.
All right. So, the question Luke Thompson is being asked here, that's a question he's being asked. The question is, do you have any movie lists to recommend? And he says, I don't know, but off the top of my head, my favourite films are Taxi Driver, With Nail and I, Star Wars, etc., etc. Okay. In this example, it's not exactly the same as the previous examples, because first he says, I don't know, but off the top of my head, and then he gives, what he remembers off the top of his head. So he's mentioning what he can remember off the top of his head. He doesn't remember everything, all the movies, right? But off the top of his head, without, checking, he can mention all these movies. Anyway, so guys, all right, now, let me give you a good piece of advice. Next time you're in a conversation and can't recall specific information, try using the phrase off the top of my head. All right? So, this expression will help you keep things flowing naturally. Okay? And you can check out YouGlish for more examples. And of course, you can check out Luke's English podcasts. You can watch these episodes, the complete episodes, on YouTube, or you can listen to them on Apple Podcast, I think, and other platforms. So, yeah, you can do that. And you can check out his website, which is teacherluke.co.uk, if I remember well. Yep, you can do that. You can really do that. And anyway, so as you can see, analyzing examples from real life, real life examples is really helpful. It's really helpful for you as a learner because it really gives you an idea of how native speakers actually use English without, checking textbooks. Isn't it great? I think so. Well, yeah, I do. And so Luke's English podcast is a great source for that. All right, guys. So, if you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Yep. And follow me for more English tips. Yep. I'm going to upload videos on a weekly basis from now on. And alright guys, until next time, happy learning. So bye bye, bye bye, bye bye.